Empire State. From the financial and entertainment epicenter of New York City to the sleeping and empty small cities and towns of upstate, which once bustled with manufacturing, mining, and farming. We all know from inspiration, history, and nature, we deserve a return to the success and growth of generations past, a birthright being squandered by corruption in Albany, and the depredations of an insecure, scheming mountebank posing as governor, who loathes both us and himself. As liberty beckoned to enslaved peoples behind the Iron Curtain via American broadcasts after World War II, we now say, believe, rise, and join us. Welcome to Radio Free New York.
Hey guys, welcome to Radio Free New York. I'm your host, Andrew Hollister, and today we are going to talk about jobs, specifically jobs with coronavirus. So what I'd like to do, I'd like to start off by welcoming all of you to the show, those of you who are listening here on the radio, and those of you who might be listening on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Periscope, or any of those platforms, or even on podcast. And I'd like to welcome you guys into the conversation on this because I'd like to hear your thoughts. So if you're listening on the live stream right now and you want to be a part of the discussion, please feel free to jump in. Or if you're listening on the radio, 585-346-3000. What we're going to be talking about today is we're going to talk about will the coronavirus essentially forever change how people decide what jobs that they want to take, what career path they're going to go down, and what businesses they're going to invest in. But before we talk about that, I do want to pick up the discussion that Kevin and I left off with yesterday about Elon Musk, because he went ahead, he did some, we'll call it, it's not really racy, but I would say he's taking a stand that I think some people wish they could, and I think other people are pretty upset about. And that stand is, he said he was going to open up Tesla's factories in California, whether the government was going to allow them to or not. And I know that for some people that made them pretty uncomfortable. For other people, they're cheering him on, saying this is a great thing. Businesses shouldn't be asking for permission. Instead, they should stand up and say, government, I have a right to work. I have a right to run my business. I have a right to the job that I voluntarily acquired through just means. And I should be allowed to work that job as long as I'm not putting others at risk. It sounds like Bob just joined us in studio. Bob, welcome to the show.
Oh, you're talking about my hero, Elon Musk. Not that I can afford one of his cars. And quite honestly, up to now, I've always felt that he's kind of a, crony capital, government supporting kind of guy. But boy, I'll tell you, he's spot on with his stance as far as running his business. And I don't want to get ahead of you, but I know that he wants to pull out of California now.
Yeah. Well, that was kind of the threat, right? And kind of as this is happening, Elon Musk has been kind of at battle with CNN as well. So this all kind of intertwines because a couple months ago, maybe not even a couple months ago, I think it just feels that way because of quarantine. A few weeks ago, I believe it was, CNN ran an article saying that Elon Musk didn't make good on his promise to California because Tesla said that they were going to build and donate respirators to the state of California or to hospitals in California, something along those lines. CNN ran this article against him saying that none of his ventilators were ever delivered as promised, this whole entire thing. And Elon Musk tweeted that he can't believe that CNN is still in business because not only did he deliver the ventilators, but he had receipts from the California Department of Health and also thank you notes from the hospitals that he donated them to.
Well, who's surprised by that? I mean, he would not be a member of a very exclusive group in doubting the financial viability of CNN, because basically I think CNN's audience is almost entirely in airports these days.
Yeah, could be. And so what turned out is CNN said, "Well, this is what the governor's office told us. The governor of California told us that they didn't do this," and kind of tried to, shift the blame over about the fact that they didn't do their due diligence. So
Oh
now all
boy.
of this stuff is happening, and Elon Musk says, "Hey, if California is not going to allow our factories to operate, we will move our factories elsewhere where we can operate." And CNN, I just saw this morning, they're running articles saying that's not true. Tesla isn't actually going to really move their factories. Elon Musk is just full of it. He can't actually do that anyways. And it's like, what is this thing CNN has with
Well,
Elon Musk?
he's the,
I don't know.
they're even dumber than they look. I mean, that's exactly what they need to do is dare him to leave, because he's the kind of guy. Elon Musk strikes me as kind of an impetuous sort of guy. And if he gets pushed into a corner by the likes of CNN, I wouldn't be at all surprised that he acts on it. And by the way, I did not. I heard the comments made by Musk. That didn't sound like an empty threat to me. That sounds
No,
that
I don't
sounds to
think
me
so.
like a guy who's fed up and he's out of there if they don't clean up their act. Which, of course, they're too stupid. They won't do. They're exactly like Andrew Cuomo, who I'm looking at right now. He's doing his usual harangue, noonday harangue. Pointing his finger at the camera. That's so endearing when politicians do that. I love that. I mean, Andrew Cuomo has basically said to many an industry in this state, good riddance. Yeah, you want to leave? I go to another state. Well, that's because you're stupid, because everything is so perfect here in the great nirvana of the Northeast. And that's why before coronavirus, he was looking at a $10 billion deficit.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and I couldn't agree more. I think Elon Musk, if the state of California is going to continue to push on Tesla, I think that of all the people you're gonna push, Elon Musk, Bill Gates, Bezos, like those are probably the three guys in the U.S. that could make a statement like, you know what, we'll pull out and go elsewhere, and then if you push them, they have the resources, they have the ability, and they could say, okay, yeah, you know what, they don't even have to buy an existing factory. Like that's what CNN was like, oh, there's no factory that exists right now that they could just move to. They've got the money, they'll just build a new one, and then they'll tout all the jobs that they created with the construction, so
Just goes to show
win-win for them.
Yeah, how out of touch CNN can be. Like, it wouldn't occur to them because, of course, they're statists. They don't understand how capitalism works. So they think that, Elon Musk will have to wait for government to write him a check so he'll have the money to build that factory. And no, CNN. See, what happens in capitalism is you have the capital, which you've earned, to do the infrastructure to build the factory that you want from the ground up. See, so you buy the land, then you build the factory on top, then you own the whole thing. What a concept.
Yeah, and something that they just clearly don't understand. But, to their defense, not that I'm defending them, but I see this with government officials all the time. If you haven't actually worked in industry, if you haven't ran a business, if you haven't had to innovate and develop a product to survive and pay your bills, you just simply don't have those skills and you don't think that way. So it's hard for you to conceptualize.
Right. Well, it's not surprising because they have been brought up in public education and then in our colleges where literally, the prevalent view in government today, I don't know if it's prevalent or not, but it sure seems like it, that any profit that a private organization, a private company makes is due to greed. They always assign that to greed. No, the accumulation of capital is what enables the development of new products, life-saving drugs, world-changing surgical techniques, great technological things like the internet. That was a product of capitalism. I think that most people on the political left make pretty regular use, I think, of the internet.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And the thing that was pretty interesting about Elon Musk's battle with the state of California, is the tweet. I believe he said this yesterday, might have been the day before, where he says they're opening. Tesla is going to open with or without government permission. It's going to happen, and that he's going to be there on the lines working with the employees himself. And if the state of California wants to come arrest somebody, the only thing he asks is that they arrest him and not any of the employees.
Yeah.
So
that
bold
was
statement there.
Unfortunate signal to send to statists, because, of course, what they'll do is exactly the opposite. They'll go pick out some, Joe Sixpack off the line, and he's bolting fenders on a Tesla, and they'll say, come along with us, and they'll frog march him out of the Tesla plant. But that might actually work, because Elon would be so angered by that plant would be shuttered tomorrow. But this is where we are now. It has been said that we are really in a state of war with the statists now. And we've seen it. I mean, Anthony Fauci's out there defiantly saying that, if we open our schools this fall, we're crazy, the next pandemic is right around the corner. So he's like beating that alarmist drum, and I think irresponsibly.
Yeah, I think, scare tactics are not foreign to us, but I think people are really taking advantage of the situation we're in right now. Guys, you're listening to Radio Free New York. We're going to take a break. We'll be back in a moment.
Your business relies on computers and technology to operate. Slow, unreliable networks and servers can cause unplanned downtime and affect your bottom line. The experts at Simple Tech Innovations are here to help. Their preventative maintenance program ensures that your computers and network are kept up to date and monitored for any issues, keeping your business running smoothly. They also help clients achieve HIPAA, PCI, and New York State cybersecurity compliance to keep your network safe and secure. Whatever your business IT needs are, Simple Tech Innovations should be your first call. They've won the Best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. Call them today for a free consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. Simple Tech Innovation.
College Assistance Plus has worked with thousands of families, saving them millions of dollars. It can be stressful choosing the right college, but we're here to help. CA Plus will guide you from college visits to college graduation and through every step in between. Each student and family situation is different, and we work to accommodate those specific needs. Call today for a free family meeting, 585-582-1846, or visit collegeassistanceplus.com for more information. College is expensive. College Assistance Plus can help.
A reminder from Abate Monroe County. American bikers aim toward education. Distracted driving is dangerous, so pull over and eat. Don't try to read your mail and newspaper, and stay off your cell phone. Make a mental note to be more alert, making it a habit to expect the unexpected. Remember to look twice. Save a life. Train yourself to watch for motorcycles which are harder to see. Join Abate, and your family will be protected with a free $4,000 accident policy. Ride safe. Ride free. Ride often. Abate. If you ride with us. Google Abate Monroe County.
Why do businesses choose to move their website from Wix and Squarespace to Simple Tech Innovations? Maybe it's their excellent customer service or attention to detail. Maybe it's their ability to give a truly customized solution. Or perhaps they just like the fact that Simple Tech is a local small business that builds great relationships with its clients. Whatever the reason may be, you can rest assured knowing that the local team at Simple Tech has your best interest in mind when building or updating your website. They're hands-on and love helping customers achieve their goals. But don't take my word for it. They've won the Best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. If your website doesn't match your dreams or isn't achieving your goals, give the professionals at Simple Tech Innovations a call today for a consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. Simple Tech Innovations.
You're listening to Radio Free New York.
All right. Welcome back to Radio Free New York. I'm your host, Andrew Hollister. We were just wrapping up talking about Elon Musk, his refusal to listen to the state of California and the county, kind of his battle going on there. And, that really got me thinking about how people are going to choose their future employers. I forget, I don't know if you know, Bob, but do you know what the current unemployment numbers are, or even something semi-recent in the last week or so for New York? I know it's a lot.
I'd heard something like around 13%.
Yeah, so there's just a lot of people unemployed, some of which when their companies or their jobs open up, they'll be able to go back to work. Many of which, though, are going to be seeking new employment. And that could be for any number of reasons. One, maybe their previous job just can't offer them that job back. Maybe it wasn't a good fit. Maybe they don't want to go back to that particular employer. Maybe that company's out of business because of this, and they're no longer able to provide unemployment. There's a lot of reasons. And the first question I would pose to you guys as listeners is, when people go back to work, are they going to look for employers who have that strong image? People like Elon Musk, who stood up and said, I'm going to provide these jobs regardless of what the state says. And I'll make sure that we're safe and that our employees are safe and that our customers are safe, but we're going to continue moving forward. Or are people going to sit there and think about, this and say they want one of the more cautious employers? People who are now saying, which to me is kind of crazy, but people who are saying even when New York opens up, they think it's too dangerous, so they are not going to open up. What are your thoughts, Bob? What do you think? People are going to go for the more cautious employers, or the more I don't want to say stronger is probably the wrong word, but stronger kind of feels like the right word.
With regard to, I'm sorry, I was looking up the employment rate, and Forbes does say 13% is the number. It's interesting because you really have to do a deep dive on Google to try to find out what the real numbers are, because otherwise you just get all this glad-handing stuff from the Department of Unemployment. But say again what the question was.
So I'm just, kind of brainstorming, talking out loud about whether or not when people look for a new job, if they're going to look for the type of employer that is willing to stay closed longer just in case, or if they're going to look more for the type of employer that is going to fight the government and open up earlier than allowed.
I think people are motivated by self-interest. That's human nature. That's the way it's going to be. They're going to look for a job that's going to give them work so that they can support themselves. I think for the most part, those who are inclined to work. And of course, we're eliminating from the sample here those who are not interested in working or primarily, raking in government benefits. So they're going to look for somebody that's obviously going to stay open as long as they can and provide a meaningful living, that somebody can support their family on and give them a sense of security. That's what people are looking for.
Yeah, and I agree. And I would also put in there, obviously if an employer is being reckless, then I think that kind of changes things, right? If somebody's going to open up and they're not going to provide whatever makes people safe, whether that's hand sanitizer or face masks or an ability to have physical distancing, people might feel unsafe because of that. But if the employer says, no, we're going to open up, we found a way to make things safe, and it's to that employee's comfort level, I think people are by far going to gravitate much more in the direction of people who are saying, no, like this is wrong for government to tell me that I need to close my business when I can be safe. It's wrong for the government to say that just because my service isn't quote unquote essential, that I can't still be safe and provide this service. And I think people are going to, head in that direction.
I think people get lost in all these issues, to tell you the truth. I think that they don't want to be broke. They want to have a good standard of living. And I don't think that, they're going to be primarily motivated by politics. And it's a nuanced issue because when we all start going back to work here, which I think you're going to increasingly see, people are losing patience with this situation. They really are. What's going to happen is they're going to look for, they're going to want to feel safe, but also lurking in the back of people's minds is the fact that they've been lied to so much by government and by the media. For example, I mean, there's all these audio cuts out there from Fauci, Cornell graduate, I should have known, who was telling us as recently as early March, oh, no, you don't need face masks. Face masks are bogus. They're just stupid. They don't really perform any meaningful function. And like within a 10-day period, he's saying that face masks are absolutely necessary to keep you from dropping dead. I'm overstating a little bit, but not by much. So, you got that going on. And then you got this cognitive disconnect between the severity that's being reported and people's real world experience when they get out there. They don't see all kinds of sick people, and the experience of people on the street is that, all right, so I'm wearing this mask. Why? Why am I wearing this mask, on a sunny day where I can maintain social distancing and I can be safe? I want to get my job back. I want to be able to go to a movie. I want to be able to go to a restaurant. I want to have normalcy back. Their kids have been idled for 2 months. They have no social life. Kids are depressed. Kids are angry, because they haven't had their graduation exercises, and that's certainly understandable. And now, prospectively, we have all these smartest people in the room who have been wrong about just about everything when it comes to COVID-19, telling us, no, you got to stay. We got to keep shut down all summer because there could be an outbreak. Oh, and by the way, there might not be school next fall either. What are you talking about? Why don't we do this like one day at a time?
Yeah, no, I agree. And, the thing, talking about the fall school season already just seems so premature to me, especially when we're just now talking about reopening things. And it's just reintroducing this constant fear for people. And I think that, I still don't see how the country as a whole, and when I say as a whole, I even mean government, how it's going to be possible for government to recover on the amount of money that they're giving out. And some of them are, deferring and pushing out tax collection. And when government borrows money, some of the things they do is bonding, which relies on tax collection. I just can't imagine in the midst of all this talking about the fall and maybe we'll shut down schools in the fall. And the only reason that I can come up with that officials would be talking that far in the future is they're thinking, all right, so if we shut down schools and go online only, we can save X amount of billions of dollars a year on education costs. Mm-hmm. And I don't think that government's even that responsible.
No. And by the way, as long as we're talking about money here, one of the big headlines today is Nancy Pelosi's $3 trillion stimulus package that she's pushing. That would push our debt, the U.S. National debt, to $25 to $27 trillion. And our economy is projected by Goldman Sachs to shrink by 24% to around $16 trillion. This is spelling real trouble. We're going, the national debt to GDP ratio goes from 107% a few months ago to 160%. The total world economy, Andrew, is $86 trillion. If we have a $27 trillion debt, we have like a third. We owe a third of the money supply in the entire world.
Yeah, those are big numbers to think about, Bob. That's pretty scary stuff. And I don't think that most people can probably even fathom or grasp how much money that is. I mean, it's basically just like virtual dollar signs floating around. It's almost incomprehensible how much debt that really is.
Yeah, and making it even worse. I mean, that's bad enough, but then you start to delve into what they want to spend this $3 trillion on, and it's not about helping folks. And, we started to break this down a little bit the last stimulus program here on Radio Free New York. We pointed out that 96% of the $2 trillion we've already borrowed from the last stimulus was for nonsense political crap, mostly pushed by Democrats. Things like, we've all heard the list, the JFK Center for the Arts, National Public Radio, Corporation for Public Broadcasting, raises for members of Congress. I mean, and on and on. It just it's a huge waste of money. 4% of the last $2 trillion made it to the people in forms of direct economic aid.
Yeah, that's just no good, not acceptable, not okay. But I tell you what, the American people will keep voting these people into office, which just drives me nuts. Guys, you're listening to Radio Free New York. We're going to take a break. We'll be back in a moment.
H.L. Mencken wrote, "The aim of public education is not to spread enlightenment. It's to reduce as many individuals as possible to the same safe level, to breed and train a standardized citizenry, and to put down dissent and originality." Let that sink in.
Your business relies on computers and technology to operate. Slow, unreliable networks and servers can cause unplanned downtime and affect your bottom line. The experts at Simple Tech Innovations are here to help. Their preventative maintenance program ensures that your computers and network are kept up to date and monitored for any issues, keeping your business running smoothly. They also help clients achieve HIPAA, PCI, and New York State cybersecurity compliance to keep your network safe and secure. Whatever your business IT needs are, Simple Tech Innovation should be your first call. They've won the best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. Call them today for a free consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. Simple Tech Innovations.
Dear Dr. Sussman.
Dear Dr. Sussman, I just wanted to write to all the wonderful people who work with Dr. Sussman and Dr. Pogel at the Center for Cosmetic Dentistry.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks so much. Each person in the office made me feel my smile.
Not only am I completely happy with my smile, but I feel you've been there for me with all my dentistry
I've had
needs.
several dentists in my life, but never a dentist of your caliber. You have state-of-the-art
You keep
dental
current in your field as evidenced by your numerous diplomas and certificates, and your entire staff is really the cream
I'm
of the
thrilled with the outcome of your skills and artistry. It's made such a difference in my life.
Dr. Sussman, Dr. Pogel, and the entire staff at the Center for Cosmetic Dentistry take great pride in providing not only advanced dental care, but extraordinary cosmetic dentistry. They love what they do and have a partnership with their patients toward long-term dental health.
For a bright, confident, beautiful smile.
Thank you, Dr. Sussman.
Thank you, Dr. Pogel.
Thank you.
Change your life, change your smile.
For more information, call the Center for Cosmetic Dentistry at 22 Smile or visit 22-smile.com.
Our community is strong. Even when we can't be together, we stand together as families, neighbors, and local businesses helping each other. As an essential business and community partner, Tompkins is here for you with online and mobile banking, programs to help our lending customers, and peace of mind, knowing that our focus is you. We're here to help you stay strong, get through this, and rebuild. For our customers and for our community, Tompkins Bank of Castile is here.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Mary Cariola Center would like to take this opportunity to offer gratitude on behalf of the nearly 700 employees and 600 families we serve. At Mary Cariola, we transform the lives of people with disabilities through education, residential services, therapy, and clinics. Reimbursements only cover a portion of the services we provide. The rest comes from donors like you. Visit marycariola.org to learn more and to make a generous gift. On behalf of our Cariola community, thank you.
Escape from the everyday to a getaway at Woodcliff Hotel and Spa. Woodcliff features elegantly appointed accommodations, creative cuisine, themed suites, Full-service spa, Elan, and is Rochester's best venue for outdoor wedding receptions overlooking the city skyline. Woodcliff Hotel and Spa, where the experience is extraordinary. Located in Fairport, call 585-381-4000 or visit woodcliffhotelspa.com.
What does it mean to make Roberts Wesleyan College yours? At Roberts, our student athletes have the opportunity to receive quality education in a caring and supportive environment while excelling on the competitive field. Since becoming a D2 college, our athletic programs have grown significantly, both in interest and in competition. We would love you to become a part of the Red Hawks family and see why Roberts is right for Rochester. For more information, visit robertsredhawks.com.
Join the movement Saturday, May 16th. The National Warplane Museum presents Operation Thanks from Above, a flyover salute to Western New York first responders, healthcare, and essential workers. The mission will be led by the C-47 Whiskey 7. For information, visit nationalwarplanemuseum.com.
You're listening to Radio Free New York.
All right, welcome back to Radio Free New York. I'm your host, Andrew Hollister. You know, we talked a little bit about the types of employers people might choose to look for throughout the coronavirus as things reopen. But one of the things I think is also important to talk about is the type of jobs in the industries people begin to seek, especially kids who are maybe in 10th, 11th, and 12th grade. They haven't started their college track yet. They might be considering going into a specific industry. And now watching this whole coronavirus thing, they might be thinking it's time to shift gears. Parents might say they want their kids to go in a different direction. And kids in college might think, maybe the direction I was going in is wrong, incorrect, not going to work for me. Or maybe even people who are midway through a career are thinking, well, my job is not essential. Should I look elsewhere? And I think that this is something that is really going to change society here in the United States, maybe across the world, I don't know. But I think that we're going to see some industries that were growing are going to lose a lot of interest because maybe it was a commodity industry and they got shut down and there was a lot of loss there. And I think people are really going to start thinking twice about entering some of these industries that were, to be honest, thriving, great, amazing industries before all this happened.
Well, yeah, no question about it. And also, I think with the, you've already referred to the sea change that's in the works here for the educational experience. And kids are going to college. They're going to have a different perspective on things if they're going to be distance learning. There's going to be if this is allowed to continue for much longer, you're going to start seeing employers really rethinking the workforce. They're going to start saying, for example, why do we need all this real estate? Why do we need to have all these buildings and offices and conference centers and everything else if a significant portion of the workforce can function just as efficiently if they work from home?
Yeah, and I think the employers are also questioning some of the staff that they have at this point because they've learned how to get by and be efficient with less staff. And I suspect that there's going to be many industries that kind of re-optimize and reevaluate. Do they continue to keep certain positions that were quote unquote non-essential? And they've now spent 2 months, a little over 2 months, learning how to run their businesses without these, I don't want to call them extra staff, but staff that they weren't allowed to keep on while this happened.
Yeah, the ones that are kind of in the crosshairs, I think, of course, it's going to be different from case to case. Every industry is different. But the industries where there's a thick layer of middle management, whose job primarily it is to keep tracks of the troops. The old joke goes, management's function is to find out what the troops are up to and get them to knock it off. But really, what employers are increasingly discovering is that that's unnecessary. That most workers are adults and that they're self-disciplined enough to get the job done without having somebody check up on them all the time. So middle management, I would say, is probably most vulnerable to downsizing.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I also think that what we're going to see here, Forbes and McKinsey actually did this report that they released last year saying that in 20 years, 70 million jobs would be replaced by automation. And what I think that we're going to find out here is that the government forcing industries to shut down is going to accelerate that timeline significantly, because I think employers have been put in the situation where they've had to learn how to automate with people not in the office. That could be as simple as using cloud phone technology or cloud scheduling technology. Whereas before you had somebody sitting there taking calls and scheduling things. The technology has always existed for companies to purchase, buy, and use that would allow customers to schedule their appointments directly with apps. I think those sort of things people have adopted, moved in the direction of, and when things turn on, it's not going to go back. They're going to say, oh, this is easier. Why do we have somebody in the middle relaying this call? Let's let the customer schedule directly. Or things like virtual document signing or online document signing. Before, when people needed to meet up in a room together to sign documents, there have been a lot of industries who have adopted online document signing, but now basically everybody has. So why have the room to have somebody meet up with a staff person to sign, and maybe you don't even need that staff person there anymore to witness a signature, because the online signature records their IP address, the browser, they put in some personal information to identify they are who they say they are. So these sort of things that it was going to happen anyways, right? We know that it was going to happen anyways, but government forcing the shutdown has really accelerated, I think, where we're going to see this 70 million number of jobs that were supposed to be replaced by automation in 20 years. Maybe we see it in half the time because it's been pushed so hard in the last 60 days.
Here's something that almost nobody is talking about with regards to this COVID thing. What is the deal with all the government workers all staying on the payroll and at full salary when the private sector is being decimated by this? I think that's insane, and it's also morally wrong. The number I saw most recently was 1 in 7 American workers is a federal employee. And a lot of those people are paper pushers in the alphabet soup of government agencies you find arrayed around suburban Washington, in Virginia, and what have you. Those people need to be furloughed, and the spending needs to stop on keeping them on staff.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, before coronavirus hit, I believe the numbers I saw was the United States federal government was the largest employer in the country, and then number 2 was Walmart. And I gotta say, it probably hasn't changed much. And that's actually something that we should all seriously take a step back and look at and say, why is the federal government so large that it is the largest employer in the nation? That's not what the federal government was supposed to be. The federal government was supposed to be small and help kind of, hold our rights together, be the foundation for our country. I mean, we weren't even supposed to have a standing army. That was supposed to be up to the states. And now look at it. It is the largest employer in the nation.
The government, you mean? Not the military, certainly.
Yeah, not the military. No, federal government. So we look at those things, and we really got to question, like, and I know my answer to this, and Bob, I think I know your answer to this, but those of you listening to the show, you got to ask yourselves, is this the direction that our country was ever intended to go in?
Well, we already know the answer to that. That was never supposed to be that way. The federal government was supposed to be limited to, governing the relationships between the states, and also to protecting the borders and the collective security. But since the 1930s, of course, it's the public sector has exploded, and we all know what the result of that, what that produces, which is a lot of regulation, a lot of expense, and a lot of government intrusiveness into our lives.
Yeah, no, I agree. So, with this whole thing, talking about jobs, what jobs people are going to be seeking, what jobs people are looking at, I got to tell you, and I'm not a fan of this, I don't like this, but if you're looking for a surefire job that's going to pay you really well and keep you going as an essential worker, maybe you should be looking at the government. I don't know. It seems these politicians, they're getting raises. They're getting, their paycheck, they're getting their benefits, and the rest of us being forced to shut down. Seems like those government jobs have been, the people who are in charge are clearly taking care of themselves. I think that's the best way to put it. Guys, we're going to take a break. We'll be back in a moment on Radio Free New York.
Businesses choose to move their website from Wix and Squarespace to SimpleTech Innovations? Maybe it's their excellent customer service or attention to detail. Maybe it's their ability to give a truly customized solution. Or perhaps they just like the fact that SimpleTech is a local small business that builds great relationships with its clients. Whatever the reason may be, you can rest assured knowing that the local team at SimpleTech has your best interest in mind when building or updating your website. They're hands-on and love helping customers achieve their goals. But don't take my word for it. They've won the best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. If your website doesn't match your dreams or isn't achieving your goals, give the professionals at SimpleTech Innovations a call today for a consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. SimpleTech Innovations.
Aircraft Environmental Systems proudly supports Radio Free New York. Rochester-based leaders in climate simulation chambers for America's R&D laboratories. We're experts in troubleshooting, calibrations, custom designs, and consulting for more than 40 years. Industry pioneers, we created the first ever fleet of temperature, humidity, and altitude test chambers available to rent coast to coast. Trained and trusted by environmental chamber manufacturers, we are ACES. Find us at acesinc.com.
The Rochester area franchise dealers are here to help their customers through these trying times. Service departments and collision centers are open. Vehicle sales are initially done remotely by telephone or electronic means until you're ready to visit the dealership and take delivery of your vehicle. Proper social distancing and cleaning protocols are followed at all dealerships. Please contact your preferred dealer to schedule sales or service appointments for a safe check-in, drop-off, or pickup process. Be safe and know the franchise dealers are here for you, Rochester.
Your business relies on computers and technology to operate. Slow, unreliable networks and servers can cause unplanned downtime and affect your bottom line. The experts at SimpleTech Innovations are here to help. Their preventative maintenance program ensures that your computers and network are kept up to date and monitored for any issues, keeping your business running smoothly. They also help clients achieve HIPAA, PCI, and New York State cybersecurity compliance to keep your network safe and secure. Whatever your business IT needs are, SimpleTech Innovations should be your first call. They've won the best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. Call them today for a free consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. SimpleTech Innovations.
Radio Free New York.
All right. Welcome back to Radio Free New York. I'm your host, Andrew Hollister. Just carrying on the discussion about jobs that may be automated in the next 20 years, many of which I think are going to be pushed forward by the government's force of private industry to be shut down. And, before we talk a little bit more about that, I just want to talk about how absolutely wrong it is that our elected officials are shutting down private industry in the state while still themselves collecting a paycheck. I just think that that is a terrible, terrible thing. I talked about this a little bit a few shows ago, or a couple weeks ago, I think it was. And I talked about our executives, our mayors, our county execs, our governor, and all of them are saying the same thing. They're saying the tax collection is way below projected value. They're going to have to make cuts. They're not going to have the same budget that they initially planned for. I have yet to see a single one of them step up and say, I will forego some of my salary. I'm not saying the whole thing, and I'm not saying how much, any amount. Because, when this happened, I had to do something similar for my staff. I had to make the decision to forego my salary to keep my employees on payroll so that we could keep our company going. And I know that there are thousands and thousands of business owners, not just across the state, but also across the country, who have had to make that same decision, who decided that they would make that sacrifice to ensure that people could still pay their bills and feed their family, and to make sure things were still on budget, and to take responsibility for the budget and the organization that you're running. Our elected officials should be responsible the same way our business owners are being responsible, where if we see an issue, government can say, oh, coronavirus wasn't our fault. Nobody was anticipating this. You'll hear that echoed time and time again. Well, hey, coronavirus wasn't the fault of small businesses either. And they weren't anticipating government shutting down their industries either. But they've still stepped forward and showed leadership and found a way to work within the budget that they were given, even though that budget became significantly smaller or almost nothing compared to what was projected to come in. Why aren't our elected officials standing up and making those same type of sacrifices, having that same type of responsibility and leadership? And that's just something that's just me. That's my personal opinion on it. And I hope that people start asking that question, because when it comes time to show leadership, our leaders are not showing that level of leadership. What they're doing is they're getting up on live streams and Zoom calls and doing press releases while they're collecting a paycheck, and the people that they represent are sitting on unemployment or out of business or on extremely reduced hours to keep their job.
Well, it's true. I think that the political left is the political part of the spectrum that's motivated by greed. You never see high-ranking Democrats, devoting a significant part of their salary to charitable causes or to helping the unfortunate in situations like this. Is Andy Cuomo foregoing his salary? No. Is he donating any money, significant amount of money? No. As a matter of fact, in typical tone deafness, on Mother's Day weekend, when a lot of families out there were mourning the consequences of his disastrous executive order pushing COVID-positive elderly patients into nursing homes and causing about 5,300 deaths. So you had a lot of families out there mourning the loss of their moms and grandmothers. Andy Cuomo took time in his, daily interminable press conference to salute his mom. I'm sure that was cold comfort to those who had lost family members because of his incompetence. And I'll give you one positive example, though, Andrew. How about President Trump? Every year he donates his $400,000 salary to something. It was Wounded Warriors at one point. Maybe not the organization, but, the military families. Every year he donates that.
Yeah, and good for him, and I'm glad that he's doing that. Man, I would love to see that on the local level, and also, not everybody has the ability to do that. I understand that. There are people who may be listening to this. Maybe they're a county legislator, which county legislators I think get $12,000 a year, maybe $13,000 a year, maybe it's 18. I don't know. It's a relatively small number comparatively. It's also a part-time job. Some people make it a full-time job. I understand that. And I can understand if you're sitting here listening to the show as maybe a county legislator and you go, Andrew, wow, like that actually is a big part of my income. If I were to donate all of my legislative salary, that would really hurt my family. I'm not asking you to do that. I'm asking you to stand up and say, this is the sacrifice I'm willing to make. This is what I can make because I think it's right for our budget. And really the people I'm looking at is those executives. You know, the mayors, they're getting 6 figures a year. The county execs that I think also get 6 figures a year. The governor of New York, who's the highest paid governor in the nation. These people and our assembly people, our Senate people, who are also getting an insanely high amount of money paid to them.
They just gave themselves a big fat pay increase last year. How about they give that increase back?
Yeah, something as simple as that. I mean, why isn't the state legislature get together and roll back the raises that they paid to themselves, that they voted on for themselves? That I think would be a huge step in the direction of the people saying, you know what, we're gonna do this. Maybe we don't want to do this, but it's the right thing, and they should roll back the raises they voted for themselves and for the governor. I think a lot of people would see that and go, wow, they made a sacrifice. Now, you and me will look at that and be like, yeah, they're sitting pretty cozy and comfy anyways, and maybe that's not a big sacrifice. But I think the general population would see that as a notable sacrifice to make the budget better.
Or even if, here's an idea. Now, this is thinking outside the box. How about the state lawmakers just donate the graft every year? They don't have to dip into their salaries, their legitimate salaries. Just, the kickbacks, the illegal payments, the little cash deals that they get from lobbyists. Just donate the graft, the bribes. We could have it, like a corruption telethon. And all the lawmakers, they can call in anonymously. They don't have to give their they don't have to give their name or their party affiliation. Just I took $500,000 from the power company, and I'd really like to give it back.
Bob, if they did that, they would have a big problem on their hands. New York wouldn't have a deficit in the budget anymore.
That's right. That's a massive surplus. Can you imagine all these people stopping by the TV studios with shadowy guys with paper sacks of cash?
Yeah. Well, and then they couldn't, try to shake down the federal government for, their quote unquote share of our money. They'd be like, wow, Colorado, they got a surplus in their budget from legalizing marijuana, but New York, they just donated back all their bribes, and they got back 4 times as much as the annual budget.
Leading industry in the state.
Yep, absolutely. So, guys, I do want you to think about, though, some of the jobs that could possibly become automated, and this is going to have to bleed into another show because we're just about out of time here. But think about it. Healthcare diagnostic and procedures, they're going automated. Some education, this remote distant learning, they're going to automate it, guaranteed. Refuse collection, driving cars. Some landscaping. I've already got a little robot that cuts my grass. Cleaning, you've got Roombas and Bravas. Food prep. Retail outlets are almost virtual already. There's very few left. Delivery services, once autonomous vehicles become out there. That's a lot of stuff for us to think about that I think coronavirus is actually pushing to the forefront for people to think about, hey, some of these industries are going to start shrinking instead of growing as a result of the government's response to coronavirus. So, guys, thank you so much for joining us here on Radio Free New York, and we will be back same time, same place tomorrow.
Thanks. Send a quick shout out to our fine affiliates along the network line at WACK, AM and FM in Newark, and The Patriot, 1230, 1450, 106.9 in Elmira, Corning. Have a great one.